Let's see here. Got a couple people already. There we go. Hang on, let's do this. All right, that's the scene we all want to see anyway. Well, welcome from the road. The volume's probably not great because we're driving down the highway heading east towards Traverse City, where we are going to be today. We're not going to make it all the way. We'll probably end up Wisconsin or Marionette, Menominee, which is at the border between Wisconsin and Michigan. If you look at a map, we're actually going up over the top of Lake Michigan as the way to get home. And so we are on our way. His bus is getting pretty incredible fuel mileage, and he is cruising at about 64 miles an hour. We were supposed to get out yesterday, but we ran into a couple of problems today. The generator wasn't charging, and Phil got in there and got that fixed for us. And I don't know, we just had a couple of other things, and before you know it, it was like 4 o'clock. We finally got going, but that's how every one of these have been. But we're on the road. If you look, all of his lights are on. You can see even the corner lights up above. His Michigan lights are not working, but everything else is working right now. And we're both pretty awake, so we may just try to cruise on through to Michigan, or at least get to the border tonight, which is normally by just driving it would be about 3 hours, but everything goes slower, so it'd be about 5 hours. So at 8 o'clock, we'd be looking at 1 a.m. or something like that. So we're just going to drive until we feel like we can't go anymore. Hey, from Cincinnati. So here, let's see if we can get Jason to talk. Yeah, Jason, say hi to everybody.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Bus is driving great so far. The only problem is the governor set a bit low, 62 on the governor, but I'm going to have a talk with it.
So the governor, he wants to go faster. He's got 12-inch, he's got R12 tires, meaning he could go faster than my bus should, but he can't get past about 64 right now, I think, is his top speed. And besides that, he dropped his snacks in a place he can't get them. So he's hungry, but he can't reach the food that he bought. So as you can see, the sun's starting to go down. We're just north of Chippewa Falls right now. So I don't know if you have much of a map. You can kind of look. We're at Chippewa Falls. We're on Wisconsin 29, and we're heading straight east across the top of the state. It's not burning any smoke. I mean, this engine is rock solid. Since he started it, yeah, we had a little bit of blue smoke for the first mile because the blower was sort of loaded up with some oil while we've been idling it. But once we got on the road, like mine smoked for 4 days, and then finally it started to seep. The rings, were working and things. He hasn't had a single problem. They had a little issue earlier today. They had to readjust the rack and do some governor adjustments, but absolutely rock solid. So he has a big winner of a bus. We washed it up today, and it's looking pretty good. Let's see if we can do this. I'll talk about my bus in a second, but So look at this thing. We cleaned it up today. You can see kind of the reflections off of it. It's super shiny. Let's see if we can hear the engine here. Hang on. We'll go back and get him here in a second. I want to get over this hill. There's some people who want to get around us, so I'll let him pass us again. Oops. All right, so here I am. So we're really happy. My hood is not coated in oil. Working on this, all day Wednesday. He ended up replacing one of his hubs with an MCI hub. If you're watching Jason's channel, you can do that. Okay, I'll try to get him to honk the horn. I'm going to have him. Oh, here he comes. He's going to pass us now. Request to hear the horn when he passed me. So we're wreaking havoc with the traffic tonight, but all right, he did beep his horn. It's a wimpy little horn, but I did hear it. I don't know if you guys did or not, but you can certainly hear that 671. It's just screaming. It's sounding great, and so that's kind of what we're doing. And for the next day and a half, we should get into Traverse City, where our next stop will be to kind of check everything out, and that will probably happen tomorrow afternoon. And so we're just really happy. He has worked his butt off all week. He's pretty tired. Yeah, somebody said the turn signals work. So Phil, old bus man Phil, has been working on this all week on the electronics, and Phil actually put a video up about working on this as well. So if you go to Phil's channel, if you know Phil, we'll put that in the link on this live after we're done. Phil got all the lights except the Michigan lights working. He's even got the lights inside the bus. Jason still has his cargo racks, and there's lights above it so that it illuminates the cargo racks. He's even got those things working. So it's pretty amazing, and very kind of motivational to get this thing over. So the Michigan lights are the only thing that are not running yet. So as far as how that works, to get to Canada, I just saw a question pop up. He has called a service that handles the import paperwork for him. And so they have to fill out some paperwork, they submit it to customs, and then there's a 72-hour waiting period. And so what will happen is he will probably hang out in Traverse City till Wednesday. And so you've got all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and Wednesday. Paperwork was filed today. Well, noon is the window that he would want to cross the border. And so, but we've been working very hard. The windows that you see in the back, one of those was broken. We had to replace that, and before they even let it into the country. So anyway, it's been a pretty fun week. I haven't done as much. I mean, I've been running around getting parts and stuff, but he's been on his knees in grease all week working on replacing that one hub and working on air. And I mean, just all the little things, but there were a lot less little things than there were in mine. If you look, there's no smoke coming out of this thing at all. We're going up a hill. You usually would see a little bit of smoke going up a hill. There's nothing. This engine is a champ, man. It's great. Just needs to adjust the governor a little bit. So As far as the status of my bus, we of course we were having a little technical difficulties last week, but my bus is sitting in Traverse City. We did make it home. I've got some more videos to drop. I apologize. I took off on this trip and I left the hard drive with all my footage on it, so I couldn't do any editing this week. So I'll probably crank out 3 videos this week to kind of get us caught up. The next one, just as a teaser, we're actually going to be heading to the Bus Grease Monkey compound, and so that'll be a fun next video. And then after that, it's the drive home and the other breakdowns that we had. But this thing is, you know, cross your fingers. Always something can go wrong, but we've probably, well, we've broken our 200 miles, which I've always said the first 200 miles are the most precarious, and we're over 200 miles now. We think he's getting 12 miles to the gallon. We filled him up and we measured the tank, and he only put 11 gallons in, and we went like 140, 150 miles. So I guess we're going only 62, so that's going to contribute to it that we're not really going very fast. But I think it averaged out to be about 12 miles to the gallon, which is pretty spectacular for a bus like this. But he's running the 12-inch tires on there. So hey, from Florida, nice to see you. So this has been pretty neat this week, and got to spend a lot of time with Phil, and you know, there's a lot of knowledge there. I feel like I've had a chance to spend a lot of time with people who really know their way around buses. Of course, I got to spend two weeks with Scott on my first bus. I got to spend a bunch of time with Tyler, you know, the Indiana Diesel on this Texas bus rescue. Then Jason, of course, and I got to spend a little bit more time with Scott with the Bus Grease Monkey. And then we just spent a whole week with Phil and Stan at the Bus Boys. And I'll tell you, you know, I'm never going to be a mechanic. I mean, there's a lot of physical things that I just can't do, but I know an awful lot about these buses now. I know their quirks pretty well, and it's been great. You know, this has just been a great trip. So, you know, fingers crossed we will we'll make it to our destination tonight, and then we'll make it on to Michigan tomorrow. So Jason is videotaping all of this, and he's of course got his own YouTube channel that he's kicked off, and it's called Bus With Us, if you want to go out and do a search on it. Some of his videos are already up. He does a full walkthrough, and this bus has almost the entire cargo, almost all of the cargo. There's one cutout for where the kitchen was. He has 26 seats in it, which, you know, not exactly configured. The seats were kind of turned sideways. It's amazing how nice this bus is when we really are looking at it. And he paid, you know, more than I did for my bus, but there's a lot of value in that right there. So anyway, so we're on our way through Wasso to Shawano, and then we'll probably spend the night. So if there's any questions, I can read them sort of. The phone's kind of attached to my windshield. Oh yeah, there's that white guy. If Scott's on tonight, if he wouldn't mind inviting Barry to leave the conversation. But if anybody else has got questions, all caps is the way to go. And so there we go. All right, so Barry White's been asked to so Duro is writing that he thinks that this is my bus. The two buses are actually very, very similar. They both have that reddish primer on the roof, and so when you look at them, they're pretty close together in appearance. So they look very, very much alike. His is a little better shape. I've got a hole cut in the side of mine. He doesn't have as nearly the problem with the tin works and stuff like that. So, so we're kind of coming across the St. Croix River between Minnesota and Wisconsin. We sort of got blown around quite a bit, and every once in a while there's a gust, but other than that, he said it tracks better. He does not have his air assist steering like my bus does, which the air assist is great when you're going 5 miles an hour, but when you get going faster, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to drive with. So he doesn't have that, and so his bus is really tracking solid. He's got 6 brand new tires on it, and we took all the bearings, inner and outer, on all 4 hubs out, cleaned them up. So it's running really super smooth. The brakes were brand new, and they're all dialed in and adjusted. We took all the dust off the brake, or the rust off of the brake drums, so it's stopping really well. So it's, mechanically, we're rocking and rolling. There's, very little that he's going to have to do when he gets home to this engine. I've still got a little work on mine. So, let's see here. Let's go to... Yeah, so the manifold is actually, we just JB welded it. There's a gentleman by the name of Leon in Maryland who was nice enough to send us one that's in really good shape. So that's on my project list, is I have to go take that apart. And I have to, here, people with OCD, I'm going to leave it a little crooked. No, I won't. I won't do that. I'm going to have to get the manifold taken off and get that replaced. That's going to be something that'll happen in the next month or so. And while I'm back there, because you do have to kind of get in through the back of the engine, which is you access it from the back of the inside of the bus. There's a bunch of other things in there as well that that I want to do as well. There's a leak on the back of the head that I have to just put a plug in. So Bruce, it says it's buffering for you, but it's actually showing me that we're fine, so that may not be us. It might be you. We've changed up the way we did things, and we have a way to make sure that we're running smoothly and stuff. So I saw something about original seats. So yeah, the driver's seat is original on his bus. He's 37 original. If you divide that, by 2, that's 16 rows, and then the row of 5 at the back. He's got enough to do 13 rows. So missing 3 rows of seats if he wanted it to be a fully coach. But he can't do that in Canada. That you would need a tremendous amount of licensing, and I don't even think they'd permit it because it's so old. So let's see. I don't know what else to tell you right now other than we're just hauling butt. We're moving at about 63 and we're going up a hill. So that gives you an idea. This governor that he's got is really way down. The engine's got a lot more power to give, and they just have the governor set at that speed. So he's there's a way to adjust it, and he's going to probably tinker with that. But going up hills, going down hills, this thing, I mean, we have not really slowed down, going over hills and stuff like that. My bus, it took probably the 3rd or 4th day, we started doing hills a lot better. But at the beginning, it just wasn't, the engine wasn't as strong, and then all of a sudden it just seemed like the engine got a lot better. Yeah, we're cruising right along. We're pretty happy. So when we arrived, I'll kind of walk through what we did. We looked at it last week when we came up during the bus rescue for mine, where we got stuck in Wichita Falls. We ended up going up to Minnesota for 2-3 days. At that point, he was just doing an assessment. He was trying to figure out if any major problems were wrong with it. And we are in the middle of Wisconsin on Wisconsin 29, heading towards Michigan right now. So when we got back here on Tuesday of this week, first thing that we did was really start pulling the hubs apart. He wanted to go grease all the hubs. And we discovered that on his front spindle, the passenger side was actually an old style, like the pre-war hubs that I've got on my pre-war bus, the old style hub, and that the wiper, which actually is pressed onto the spindle itself, the wiper was completely shredded and there was grease all over the place. So we made the decision to change out that with a MC7 tag hub, which apparently you can do. And we were, of course, at the Bus Boys, Stan and those guys. So he just had one sitting in a pile, in the back. We just dug it out and started doing all the conversions. So that was the first thing, is to pull that all apart. That took him probably a day and a half to go through all that. I had to get some studs machined because of the way that the clearance works on an MCI hub. You have to take about a 1/4 inch of the back of the stud off. It doesn't impact the stud. It still has full grip, but the MCI hub kind of gets a little close to the brakes, and we were scraping. So we had to get some machine work done. We, of course, tracked down all the usual stuff: coolant, belts, fuel filters, oil filter. Most of that stuff was right there. I mean, it was like the most perfect spot to do a restoration, because you need a vintage part. He's like, oh yeah, upstairs. And there's, it's gotta be a 1,500 square foot room full of old vintage bus parts, and you just go find it and you put it on. And so I was really jealous. Usually you have to call and they ship it 2 days later, and here you just buy it from Stan right off the shelf. So then we worked on the hubs, we worked on the electrical. The electrical was pretty messed up, and Phil got that going. We had to do some, the engine was pretty good. We had to do some coolant hose fixes. They all leak. We had to replace all the hoses for the, there's about $500 worth of new fuel line, coolant lines, air lines, that kind of stuff that we had to have made up. He replaced all the brake hoses. He repacked clean thoroughly and kind of washed up, and then repacked all the bearings. Boy, what else did we do? We washed it. I washed it for him. I changed the oil. The differential is good. Oh, hey, Scott. I'm glad to hear that you are out of danger with your fire. So, anyway, so it, you just go through every system. It's like even a car that you find abandoned. You have to replace all the rubber. You have to make sure everything, the rust is all removed and stuff. So, I don't know the business dealings between Jason and Stan. That's not my business. So, anyway, we went through the whole thing. Phil got all the lighting going. We did today discover the generator wasn't charging, and it turns out there was a grounding wire that was completely eroded, that we had to go back and rewire all the wires from the generator to the regulator. We had a couple of other shorts going on. We cleaned up the switch panel where all the switches are. So we worked on some of the electronics, and he's managed, of course, to get a lot more lights on his bus working than mine. If you can see, he doesn't actually have the Greyhound dog in there. But if you can see, even the light in the center is illuminated. It's just he doesn't have any of those things in there right now. So anyway, that's a big part of it. The coolant system was leaking. We changed out some hoses, and that stopped leaking. And we did have to replace the stop light switch that ruptured, and that's a part that you can dismantle, but they had one sitting on the shelf, so we decided to just put a new one on, and then he'll rebuild the other one as a spare. I'm just trying to think of all the things that we had to do. But that's pretty much it. We had to put Rain-X on the windshield. That was exciting. So I did lighter things. I did the oil change, and I did the windows, helped replace all the windows that were broken, and we put the back window in. And so all in all, Jason did much of the heavy work. He mounted his own tires. I just called a tire guy for me and just had them put on. That took him probably 4 hours, and he was absolutely dead when he got done with that. He could barely talk. So that was a busy day yesterday, getting the tires remounted and everything. So anyway, so I am, just to recap for people who are just joining us, I am driving. The phone's on the screen, and so I can't read every question that's flying by. I apologize. It just wouldn't be safe. When I see a comment, I'll answer it. But we are in mid-Wisconsin right now, getting close to Owasso, and we're on our way to Marionette, Menominee, which is the border between Michigan and Wisconsin. We're going up over Lake Michigan. If you look at a map, you can go over Lake Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. We'll go across the Mackinac Bridge tomorrow, which is going to be absolutely amazing. I hope to get some good video footage with my GoPro and all that of us going over the bridge. Do have to pay attention driving while you go over the bridge too, so that's, it's part of it. So anyway, well, we've been going for a while now. It's about almost half an hour. I think we're going to probably wrap up tonight, just simply because that. So I'm going to get Jason on the radio. All right, Jason, got anything to say to everybody? We've been sort of answering questions. I've been telling them what it's like to be around Canadians and how messed up Canadians are. But anyway, do you have anything you want to say?
She's a blast to drive. I'm enjoying it on the highway. I just like to get about another 5 or 6 miles an hour out of it. That'd be great. But other than that, it's running good. The temps are good. The air is holding. Oil pressure is good. I got 40 pounds of oil pressure. She drives nice and tight. Shocks feel good even. It drives a whole lot nicer than your Texas bus.
So we talked a little bit about how much you enjoy changing tires.
Just pay somebody.
So Jason's pretty cheap, but he definitely agrees. I kept on telling him, just have somebody come put the tires on. He's like, oh no, I don't want to pay anybody. I'm like, oh man. So he learned his lesson on that one. He really got whipped. So anyway, all right, we're about to sign off. Anything last words?
No, just say hi to all our viewers and say hi to my wife and family, and say a special hi to one of our viewers that's probably watching from Japan, and that would be Yuna.
Oh, hi to Yuna, I guess, who is one of the watchers tonight. And I don't know if Phil's on tonight. I know he knew, we just saw Phil about an hour and a half ago. He followed us out of town. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time. And I will promise to get videos up this week. Like I mentioned earlier, I left all of my videos on in a hard drive at my house. And so I've got to go back and get everything put together. But the Texas Bus Rescue will be all up and posted by the end of this week. I would say by next Sunday, that'll be like the last video in that series. And then we'll get into some of the new stuff too. So we got a fairly long drive. We still probably have about 3 hours, maybe longer. We're going to go till about 11:30 Eastern time tonight. And as long as the bus permits us to, that's always a factor. But we got plenty of fuel, and we're just going to put the hammer down, and we will talk to you later.